Steam. Is it the friendly giant of PC gaming or the quiet tyrant of the entire industry? The question alone sends sparks flying among gamers everywhere. Some say it's the greatest digital storefront in history, while others believe it's edging dangerously close to monopoly territory. One thing's certain, whether you love it or hate it, Steam has reshaped how we play, discuss, and buy games. But how did it all begin? And what hidden controversies lurk behind its meteoric rise? Today, we're diving deep into the shocking backstory, the profit battles, the unexpected betrayals, and the rumors that just won't go away. Stick around, because what we're about to uncover might change how you see Steam forever. Welcome to Gamer's Service Announcement. GSA, the more you know. Click that subscribe button and hit on the alert button to get notified about new videos for you. It all started in the early 2000s when Valve Corporation, best known at the time for the original Half-Life, found itself facing a seemingly small but infuriating problem: distributing updates for its games. Back then, if you wanted to play Counter-Strike with the latest patch, you'd have to hop onto Valve's servers or track down some external download link. Everything was manual, slow, and scattered, leaving gamers frustrated whenever they discovered their files were out of date. There was no auto-update that magically worked in the background while you slept, and that meant some folks just never bothered patching at all. Valve realized this problem wasn't just about convenience. It was messing with their entire online ecosystem. In an era where even console gaming was often stuck with unpatched discs, Valve's leadership suspected a single digital platform might be the ultimate fix. And thus, Steam was born. It was launched on September 12, 2003, primarily to serve one purpose: streamline updates for games like Half-Life and Counter-Strike. In the beginning, it was far from the sleek marketplace we know today. At launch, Steam was more of a clunky distribution tool. Some gamers even refused to use it, calling it intrusive. But the need for easier patches overpowered the initial gripes, and Steam gradually pulled in more and more users. Yet behind the scenes, rumors swirled. People whispered about how Valve was planning something bigger. Some claimed Steam was just the first step in a grand plan to dominate PC gaming entirely. Others scoffed that it would never survive once publishers realized they could do distribution alone. For Valve, though, the real shock was still to come. Once other game companies saw Steam's success, they'd start asking questions about who was truly benefiting and who might get left behind. But these early complaints were just the beginning. By 2005, Steam was evolving from simple patch delivery system to a fully fledged digital storefront. Gamers no longer needed to store rows of physical discs, since new games could be purchased and downloaded directly. Suddenly, convenience was everything, and it sold like wildfire. Developers flocked to Steam, eager to place their titles where the growing PC audience had gathered. Then came the bombshell: Valve's 30% cut. Whenever a developer sold a game on Steam, Valve took about 30% of the revenue. Some fans argued that was totally fair given the infrastructure Steam provided. Others believed it was daylight robbery. The real question: was Steam forging an industry standard or seizing too much power from smaller studios? Even giant publishers noticed how quickly Steam had become an unignorable gateway to PC gamers. But Valve wasn't alone in this. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo also took hefty cuts in their respective console stores. The difference was that Steam had ballooned into a near-inevitable platform on PC, overshadowing virtually every rival. In the eyes of critics, Valve's share started to look less like a normal distribution fee and more like a toll for simply existing in PC gaming's largest marketplace. Meanwhile, one competitor was planning a bold move: the Epic Games Store. Announced with a major splash around 2018, Epic promised developers a meager 12% cut, a direct challenge to Valve's 30%. Some called it a shocking revolution, while others saw it as a desperate attempt to dethrone an unbeatable king. The entire industry buzzed with speculation. Could Epic's smaller revenue split change the rules of the game? Or would Steam's user base be too entrenched to sway? Yet the real storm was just around the corner. The marketplace wars heated up, and some of the biggest names in gaming took radical steps to escape Steam's shadow. Ubisoft famously announced that it would no longer launch major titles on Steam, starting with Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Instead, it migrated to the Epic Games Store and Ubisoft's own launcher. Publicly, Ubisoft declared this was about supporting disruptive business models and ensuring a smooth journey for fans. Behind closed doors, however, rumors ran rampant. People hinted Ubisoft might be cutting secret deals with Epic, or that the decision was purely about maximizing profits by dodging Valve's 30% fee. Electronic Arts pulled a similar move, refusing to publish many of its biggest hits on Steam for years. Games like Battlefield or the Sims series wound up on EA's proprietary launcher, where all the microtransaction money could funnel directly back to EA without Valve's cut. Many in the community saw it as a power play, but some EA employees quietly whispered about a deeper reason: a clash with Valve over how in-game purchases would be split. It seemed like major publishers were all walking away, leaving Steam behind. Critics questioned whether Valve could maintain its hold on the market, but then the unexpected happened. One by one, these same publishers started coming back. EA eventually ported many of its blockbusters to Steam. Some claimed the internal numbers showed they were missing out on thousands, even millions of potential sales. Ubisoft, after insisting for years that its own launcher plus Epic was enough, also tiptoed back with a brand new Assassin's Creed. Suddenly, the whispered rumors shifted. If these giants were returning despite Valve's 30% share, what kind of unstoppable force was Steam, really? Were developers better off earning 70% on Steam than 88% on Epic if the user base on Epic was too small? Observers started suspecting that no matter how generous Epic's cut might be, the undeniable power of Steam's massive install base rendered it an unshakable juggernaut. But rivalries weren't limited to corporate profit lines. Players had their own demands. Steam's biggest weapon wasn't hidden corporate deals or cunning business strategies. It was something far simpler: community. Users loved having a central hub where they could review games in detail, share guides, post screenshots, and trade items on the marketplace. While Epic had its own approach, people were quick to complain about its bare-bones interface and lack of user reviews. Some called Epic's star rating system absurdly vague, pointing out that a game's intricacies, storyline, optimization, replay value could never be captured with a single rating out of 5 stars. Steam, on the other hand, empowered users to write entire essays or quick, witty reviews, along with public notes warning about potential technical issues or hardware incompatibilities. This sense of mutual support went even deeper. If you got stuck on a puzzle in Portal 2 or needed to figure out how to earn a hidden achievement in Dark Souls, there were usually dozens of community guides waiting to help. Gamers formed groups for niche titles, organized modding communities, and curated recommendation lists. All this fed back into Steam's unstoppable momentum, but it also sparked controversies. For instance, the marketplace for trading cards and in-game items became a hotbed for black market dealings and scam attempts. Some shady users farmed collectible cards by running idle programs, then sold them for quick cash, leading Valve to clamp down. People still debate whether Valve did enough to curb these issues, or if they were secretly benefiting from the fees on those trades. The greatest advantage, though, was customization. Steam allowed players to personalize profiles, showcase achievements, and even earn badges or animated backgrounds from certain games. Critics said it was just a cunning way to keep people addicted and funneling money through the marketplace. Devoted fans argued it was a harmless bit of fun that turned Steam from a mundane store into a vibrant community. Even so, Valve's secret weapon would prove far bigger than just user loyalty. When people talk about Valve, they often focus on iconic series like Half-Life, Portal, or Team Fortress, but there's a deeper mystique surrounding the company itself. Unlike most major gaming entities, Valve doesn't have external shareholders to please. There's no looming board demanding bigger quarterly returns at any cost. In other words, Valve can chart its own course. Inside Valve, employees famously operate under a flat or nearly flat hierarchy. Some stories say there are no formal job titles beyond broad roles like programmer or artist, and that staff simply gravitate to whatever projects need them. Perhaps even more surprising is the rumor that Valve doesn't hire junior people. They exclusively bring on veterans with top-notch experience, giving them near total freedom. Over the years, this approach has created near-mythical tales about Valve's generosity. One particularly poignant rumor involves an employee diagnosed with a severe condition that could have forced him to resign. Instead, Gabe Newell, Valve's co-founder, reportedly told him his new job was to rest and get better, all while keeping his position safe. People within the community raved about this story, praising Valve for being the polar opposite of the typical corporate machine. But not everyone is convinced Valve's culture is a paradise. Some ex-contractors have spoken up about confusion or even exclusion if you don't fit perfectly into the company's open structure. Others accused Valve of having hidden hierarchies or cliques that control decision-making behind the scenes. Regardless of which story you believe, one thing is certain: Valve's unusual corporate culture has shaped every facet of Steam's evolution, from how it handles community features to the way it interacts with developers. With such an unusual corporate structure, you'd think customer service might fall apart. But does it? Steam's customer support was once heavily criticized, with claims it was slow and unresponsive. Over the years, however, that changed dramatically. Now, plenty of users report getting refunds approved within hours. If your account gets hacked, Steam's support team can often restore it with shocking speed. The platform's approach to patching older games also made headlines. Valve famously continues to roll out bug fixes and compatibility updates for titles that first launched decades ago. But with this dedicated approach to customer satisfaction comes another layer of controversy. Independent developers occasionally complain that Steam's internal guidelines are confusing and tough to navigate. Some devs say it's easy for big studios to get prime store placement while smaller teams fight for scraps of visibility. There have been repeated accusations that Valve's front page algorithms mysteriously favor certain games, possibly based on hidden metrics. There's also the topic of censorship. Steam's policies about adult or violent content have changed repeatedly. For years, it was widely believed that certain steamy anime-style games were singled out or removed without consistent explanations. Rumors swirled that, behind closed doors, Valve had a secret content review panel making snap judgments. Eventually, Valve announced a more open approach, basically allowing anything that isn't illegal or straight-up trolling. Yet critics say that some borderline content still gets blocked without warning. And then there's the question of broken games. Steam has occasionally been accused of hosting titles that are blatant ripoffs or asset flips, leading to debates on whether Valve is just chasing profits from listing fees. The meltdown of Steam Greenlight, an older system that let the community vote on which indie games made it onto the platform, only deepened the controversy. When Valve replaced Greenlight with Steam Direct, demanding a set fee from developers, it sparked new conspiracy theories. Were they really trying to weed out low-effort games, or just making extra money off indie hopefuls? So, where does this leave Steam and the rest of the gaming world? Fast forward to the modern day, and Steam commands an almost unimaginable user base. Estimates vary, but we're talking about over 130 million monthly active users. That's a colossal force in an industry where new releases can make or break on PC. According to many, if your game isn't on Steam, you might as well not exist, because a large chunk of the audience only wants to buy and manage all their games through one platform. This influence, ironically, keeps Steam consumer-friendly in certain ways. Because if Valve ever pivoted to an openly exploitative model, the outrage might send gamers fleeing to other emerging storefronts. Sales are frequent, with entire libraries discounted in eye-popping seasonal events. Valve even bans games that push invasive ads before gameplay, showing that consumer respect still matters to them. But is Valve unstoppable? Rumors persist that the company's next steps could shake up the industry all over again. Some speculate they'll push deeper into hardware, building on the success of the Steam Deck, or that they might launch a subscription service rivaling Xbox Game Pass. Others claim Valve might pivot to VR exclusives, hooking users into a digital metaverse they can't resist. Skeptics, on the other hand, point out that Valve's track record with sequels, especially the infamous no-show of Half-Life 3, proves it doesn't always deliver what fans crave. No matter how you slice it, Steam has changed the face of gaming. It set the standard for digital distribution, forcibly dragged the industry into an era of easy game updates, and gave birth to a community with a life of its own. Yet it's also courted controversies. Accusations of anti-competitive behavior, overshadowing smaller stores, hoarding user data, and letting questionable content slip through the cracks. So here we stand, watching one of the most powerful platforms in gaming history. Is Steam a beacon of innovation, an eternal champion of player freedom? Or is it an unstoppable behemoth that everyone else must bend to, no matter how many rebellious moves competitors attempt? While the answers will differ depending on who you ask, one thing is undeniably clear. Steam's story is far from finished. The next time you open your library and see that comfortable green install button, consider the bigger picture. Behind those discounted bundles and user-friendly reviews lies a machine that's become indispensable for millions, but also increasingly scrutinized by those who don't want a single gatekeeper controlling the digital realm of PC gaming. Maybe you think Valve has earned its crown by delivering convenience and community like no one else. Or maybe you believe we're just one step away from a shocking turn that could dethrone Steam and rewrite the rules yet again. Wherever you land, keep your eyes open. Nothing stays at the top forever, especially not in an industry as unpredictable and fast-paced as gaming. If there's one certainty, it's that gamers themselves will decide who ultimately wins. So ask yourself, is Steam truly unstoppable? Or have we only seen the beginning of a new wave of competition that might shake Valve's throne? That's the real question. One only time will answer. And until then, The debate rages on. If you like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that alert button for more awesome videos. Gamers Service Announcement: the more you know.